Hello out there, everyone. We are so excited to be with you for another day. Happy Saturday to you. I want to welcome you to the Coffee with Rhonda show, where coaches and thought leaders discuss the successes and challenges inherent every day in just being a woman. So today's topic is from the bedroom to the boardroom. Do you know what you want? And I can't wait to get started on this discussion because I know it's going to be juicy and spicy and fantastic. But before we do, my name is Rhonda Y. Williams, and I'm your host for the show. I'm an emotional intelligence strategist and coach, helping leaders create the shift from overwhelmed to overjoyed, from stuck to unstuck, so that they can transition and create a life they love. I'm also the founder of Dream Life by Design Mastermind Group, where we help you create and transition to a joyful living in your own experience in your own life. So, we're going to introduce our guest and our co host in just a minute. But before we do, just a few housekeeping items for you if you're out there watching us. First of all, we want you to tell us your name and where you're watching from. And don't forget, we'll want to know what's in your cup. In my cup, I'm at a conference, and so I ran down and had to grab a couple Starbucks this morning with some vanilla spice in it. So we are definitely wanting to know what's in your cup. So the other thing that we want to know from you before we get started, we want you to like the video. We want you to comment on anything that resonates with you. If it strikes you, if it hits you, if you agree, if you disagree, comment on it. And then also, we want you to tag a friend and share this video to your page so that we can build on this conversation and get a pretty robust conversation going. So now let's introduce the rest of our panel for today. And we'll go on and we'll introduce our co-host first. We'll start with you, Moraine.
Yes, hello, everybody. I'm always very happy to be here. My name is Mirai Tulekima. I'm based in Perth, Australia, so it's good evening for me. And I'm a serial entrepreneur, the CEO of MT Energy Resources, which is an oil and gas and energy company, and the founder and CEO of Mirai Tulekima Global Leadership, an organization which actually focus on helping individual and organization to become the best that they can be and enjoy greatness in whatever they're doing. I'm also a free time author. I'm a speaker. I'm a host of a show. So I do a lot of things. I'm a superwoman. So that's me. I'm really, really happy to be back again.
Awesome. Well, welcome to the Superwoman Club. Awesome. And so let's go to you, Bernadette. Good morning. Happy Saturday to you.
Good morning. Happy Saturday, ladies. Good to be here. Well, for most of you who've been watching, you know, my name is Bernadette Evans. I am a minister, I'm an author, I'm a spiritual coach, and I am also recently been appointed as the international coordinator of Tag Me Ministry in Cameroon, in Douala, Cameroon. So I'm excited about that. Yes.
Wow, good.
Congratulations. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
That's
Thank you.
very awesome.
Thank you.
And I'm going to ask everyone to just sort of mute themselves as you can if you're not speaking. Something's going on with our audio.
Yeah, there's a lot of feedback.
There is a lot of feedback, and I'm not sure why that is. Okay, it stopped with everyone going on mute. So what it could be, guys, is it might be that someone has the Facebook tab open in the background. So just double check and make sure that your Facebook tab is coming through and trying to broadcast at the same time. And we got our other co-host who's joining us. And so if we're going to go ahead, and I still hear the feedback a little bit, but we're not going to let it disrupt us too much. We're going to just, everyone keep yourself muted until we get to you. So Roz, we just did the introduction of the co-host. Thank you so much for joining us. Happy Saturday, and go ahead and introduce yourself.
I am Roz, I'm the owner of Jacksonville's Best Caregivers, where we provide 4 levels of specialized care to loved one in-home health care, sitter, homemaker companion, home health aide, and certified nursing assistants. When you can't do it all, give us a call. And I'm so excited to be on here with Lachelle, one of my favorite people. So I'm excited this morning. Yes.
Awesome. That's great. And we are so excited. We've got our full complement of crew today, and we've got the amazing Lachelle Barnett joining us today, who is a brand strategist. And Lachelle, you want to do a quick introduction of yourself, and welcome to the show.
Well, thank you, ladies. I'm excited to be having this chat this Saturday morning or evening for those of you who are in the evening. So my name is Lachelle Barnett, and I run a consulting firm called The Reset Room, and we help coaches, consultants, anybody who's in the expert space figure out how to identify and clarify their market, their messaging, and their market. What did I say? Market messaging and marketing strategy. So that way lead generation becomes the easiest part of their entire business. That's kind of what I do.
Awesome. Well, we are so excited to have you today. And what we want to do is we want to have a conversation today. Our topic of conversation today is from the bedroom to the boardroom. Do you know what you want? And so we're going to jump into our conversation. Remember out there, if anything resonates with you, first of all, share the video, tag 2 women, tag 2 friends that you think could really benefit from joining the conversation. And then we will be happy to share that with you also. So let me just start off by talking about this topic, which is a little bit interesting for me as I think about from the bedroom to the boardroom and do you know what you want? One of the things that I instantly think of is, well, gosh, who has time to sit down and really think about what they want? I mean, we move at such a breakneck pace and speed that sometimes we don't take the time to really think about what we want. And so as we're moving through life, I know that I find it's difficult to have satisfaction. It's difficult to get fulfillment. And it's difficult for me to really feel like I'm on the right path when I have not defined what it is I'm actually going towards or what it is I really want. So as we think about from the bedroom to the boardroom, we're going to think about what it is we want in the bedroom. And number one, do we know what we want, right? Do we know what we want? That's one aspect of it. But the other aspect of it is, even if we know what we want, are we able to clearly and effectively communicate what we want? Right. So there's sort of 2 pieces to this strategy. So, of course, because I like to be a little bit spicy and I like to be a little bit messy sometimes, too, we're going to start in the bedroom with this conversation. And we're going to start by, women, ladies, I just want to know, as you were growing up, what were you taught about what was right or wrong in the bedroom? How do you know, and how did you come into your own personal identity? Because for me personally, there wasn't any discussion, right? So for me, I didn't know what I wanted. And then I didn't know, right? I was always told I needed to be a good girl. And so I had that as a foundation, right? Be a good girl, do the right thing. But in terms of, fulfilling, sort of knowing what my own identity is, fulfilling what that identity is, getting comfortable with that personal identity, we never had those conversations. And so my good girl started to conflict with what I thought I wanted or who I thought I could or should be in the bedroom. And that can be a little bit of a challenge. I don't know, maybe it's just me, but definitely it became a little bit of a conflict for me in terms of that and being confident in knowing what I want. And then once I did begin to know what I want, I was too shy to express it. Right? I mean, who wants to go around really talking about what they want, especially as women? We're kind of like, yeah, no, I'm good. So tell me a little bit about your own personal experiences. I'll toss it around to you. And as our guest, Lachelle, we'll start with you in the conversation, and then we'll move on to our co-host.
So I think that my experience is probably similar to what you shared, right? There was not a lot of discussion around, well, what do you want? Right? And how do you get it? And so I think for me, it was a lot of trial and error. I learned what I wanted based on the experiences that I had. And every person that I encountered taught me something, right? So it was, oh, I really like this, or oh, I absolutely don't like that. Even the things that I sometimes thought I wanted, and I was like, oh, that's not exactly what I meant, Jesus. I mean, yeah, a little different than what I had it in my mind. So I think for me, it was a lot of trial and error, and I think that's really not the best way to learn, right? It's not the best way. You waste a lot of time and energy, and not so much waste, because every experience is designed to teach us something. But there is a more efficient or more effective way to, really get clear about what you want. So that was kind of my own personal history.
Absolutely. It's so interesting that you say, one of the things that you found is that if you're not cautious, then you end up getting something that you don't exactly want.
Mm-hmm.
And a part of that might be because, sometimes if we're not super clear about that, we're just headed in a direction, but we don't really know where we're going. So let me go over and just Bernadette. Yeah, there's still some feedback. I'm not sure what is going on with that feedback, but Bernadette, let's come to you.
Okay, so for me, when we talk about what we want in the bedroom, I unfortunately didn't have a great experience, because for most people that know me know that my story is about being sexually abused as a child. So my whole foundation was, I would say my whole foundation was interrupted at a time when I should have been like developing and growing and learning these things. That was interrupted and disturbed. So I had a lot of challenges when it came to identifying what I liked and what I wanted, period. Not just not just so much as in the bedroom. I just had challenges with my sexuality, period.
Wow. And I'm sure that sort of, I think we're already sort of in a tumultuous place as women, in terms of being able to be really comfortable and clear about what it is we want, especially in the bedroom. But when you have those experiences added onto it, it just jumbles everything up, right? Your emotional center gets sort of thrown off, and it's really difficult to sort of rebalance yourself. So that's definitely understandable.
That's true. I mean, like for years, and I mean like a lot of years, I didn't know. I didn't know what to do. I didn't even really know the root cause, because when those things happen to you as a child, it traumatizes you. And I know that this is not the conversation for that, but we're talking about, sexuality at this point, from the bedroom to the boardroom. And so my point that I want to make is that, when those things happen to you at an early age, it reaches into your adult life. And because if nothing is ever done about it, you don't even know how to cope with relationships. You don't even know where to begin, or how to say and express that this is what I want, this is what I don't want, this is what I like. And then, coupled with, the African American experience of growing up in times where parents just didn't even talk to you about sex in the first place. So you kind of left like a fish out of the water, kind of like flapping, not knowing where to go or what to do.
Well, it's so interesting that you say that, because we don't have those conversations. And for every mother out there with a young daughter, think about this. Think about, because we actually did have sexual conversations. I don't know about y'all, but the conversation in my household was just don't do it.
Just right. That's the conversation.
Here's your sexual education and conversation. Don't do it. Keep your legs closed. Be a good girl. I'm here at a conference with Linda Clemens today, and she's fantastic. And Linda started off this morning talking about the cookies, right? And you got to make sure you keep your cookies together. Hide your cookies, protect the cookies. And so that was the conversation that I was used to. So again, think about that for a moment, and I'm going to toss it to you, Marae, in just a second. But think about that for a moment. Just don't do it, right? Be a good girl and just don't do it. And that's how that contributes to everything else that we feel, as women, in regards to being able to know what we want for our own sexuality. So, Marae, I'll toss it over to you.
Yeah, I think for me, the experience is the same. I mean, you actually learn it on the way through different experience. I never had actually, conversation with my parents or my mom or a very structured conversation about what I really want. I mean, they actually already have had a script for me, and you basically follow the script because they are your parents. And then on top of that, being one of the youngest, then you have also all the siblings adding to it. So you basically all the time following. And through life, I mean, you start to evolve. I mean, you meet somebody, you get married, you have children, and that's where you start to discover yourself, and you start to give direction to your life, and to your social life and to your professional life. So it's been a trial and error, and also through different experiences, especially traveling, in different countries and interacting with different people. So all this learning has really, helped me to shape myself and really understand my purpose and what I really wanted to do. And but at the beginning, I had really no base, really. So it was really, okay, you go and get what you have. If it's good, then you learn from it, and you keep going, and that has been the experience for me.
Wow. So whatever that experience is, you just kind of do the very best you can. You learn from it, grow from it, and you just try to move on the best you can. And so as we go, we're going to come to you, Roz, as you think about, your own personal experience with this, and, what did you take from it, and how did it shape you and your ability to communicate? And before you communicate, so in the bedroom, when I think about it, I'm like, okay, so this is, kind of deciding if I want mystery for the night, if I want beast mode, if I want Mr. Sweet, Gentle, and Sexy, if I want a little variety, the maid or the teacher or the whatever, right? What is it that you actually want and feel like you want to express in this way, knowing that you can have fantasy, you can do these things, you can shift your world in this moment and it be okay, because that is what you want. Over to you, Roz.
I wasn't even taught about sex until college, when we had sex education in college. Now, I was taught how to be clean before and how to be clean after.
Right.
But I wasn't taught the in between. You know what I'm saying? I was always taught, keep yourself clean. If you don't have no smell. If you smell yourself, wash yourself. What to carry in the bag during the time of your as they say, your situation. Back in the day, they called it the situation. All of that. But when I was feeling like Jane and I wanted a Tarzan, nobody told me how to handle Tarzan and how to handle my Jane. Because you understand what I'm saying? So, I didn't even, like what Lachelle was saying. I was having itches and scratches back in high school. And I didn't know how to do my mother, girl. You think my mother would tell? Oh no.
Always very taboo. Don't talk about it.
And the first real shock of me walking in the bedroom with my parents in the bed was like, that was really probably my first experience with commingling, was walking in and like, the shock. That was my first experience with sex in the bedroom. So, none of this was taught to me. You walk in, you scream and you run out and you close the door. So, those were my experiences. However, if I had someone talk to me, and when I was having my itch and my scratch, at 12, 13, 14, 15 years old, I probably could have managed myself just a little bit better. I wouldn't have been, I wouldn't have been having those jungle experiences. Let's just say that.
Jungle experience.
Oh my God, that's great. So you know what? Hey, sometimes we need a little jungle in our lives. So I think that's okay too. So I would just want to acknowledge, Tish out there. Nitish is from India. She says hello from India. Terry says hello from Oklahoma. Thank you, ladies, for joining. Hello, hello out there. If you're watching the video, we ask you to share it on your timeline. Tag 2 people that could benefit from this conversation as we go on and talk about from the bedroom to the boardroom. Do you know what you want? So we spent a little bit of time talking about the bedroom, and I think that's such an important conversation for us as women to be really comfortable. Thinking and acknowledging ourselves and knowing what we want. And let's just sort of move through life. Let's leave the bedroom a little bit and start talking about some other aspects of your life. Because I also think that in relationships, just in general, and I'm not just talking about a relationship with a significant other, but I'm also talking about relationships with other family members, relationships at work, relationships with partners, knowing what it is we want and expect from our relationships and being really clear about communicating that. I'll give you all a great example. From the time that I was a young teenage girl, we used to go around and we used to call each other, we used to like to call each other the B words. Excuse my French, but here's the illustration when we were young. Oh, bitch, you crazy, right? Oh, no. Right? No, we're not doing that. I was never that girl. I was never that person that could rock with that, because as far as I'm concerned, what you say is what you mean and what you're thinking, what you're feeling at that point. And so I was a little bit of an outsider because I wasn't going there. And I'm not calling you one, and I don't want you calling me
one. That's
right. Yeah. And so that was really important to me. So establishing those kind of relationships. Again, my husband, when I was a young wife, we established very on that I don't care if you're angry or whatever attitude or problem you have, you need to watch your words.
Right.
Because you can't just suck them back in, right? Once they're out there in the universe. And so she says, which topic discussion is going on? So the question, what we're talking about today is from the bedroom to the boardroom. Ladies, do you know what you want, first of all? And number 2, are you clearly expressing what you want? So do you know what you want, and are you able to express what you want? So even when we were young in that relationships, we decided early that we would not just say whatever because, I'm angry and I'm mad. That's not okay. And that's the kind of way we decided. So do you know what you want in relationships, and are you able to communicate? And so what's been your experience with that, ladies? And that can go anywhere from friends, family, colleagues, partners in business. And so Bernadette, we'll come to you first on this one.
Well, Rhonda, as I said, I didn't always know what I wanted, but today I do. And I feel that for the most part, I feel that I want to be treated with respect. I want to be treated with the same care that you would want me to treat you with. My philosophy is definitely Bible-based. And so I take a lot of my principles from the Word of God. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. I want to be treated with respect. If I'm in professional relationships, I want to be treated with the same level of respect and courtesy and dignity that I bring to the table. In personal relationships, I want to be treated with the same love and tenderness and kindness and thoughtfulness and consideration that I give to you.
No, I think that's fantastic, because you are at a point now where you absolutely know what you want and you're able to communicate that clearly.
Absolutely.
And so that shows through, because it's not only about what you want, you also give what you're looking for, right? So you live the example of sharing with others. This is what I want from this relationship. I'm going to walk the talk. And then I expect you to sort of, fall in line and reciprocate.
And here's the thing, what I've learned over the years is that you have to teach people how to treat you. You do. You have to teach people how to treat you, because you don't know where they're coming from. You don't know what they've been through, but you have to teach people how to treat you, and you teach people how to treat you based on the way you treat yourself, based on the way you show up for you.
I love that. Teach
Right.
people how to treat you. That's your hashtag, women. Teach people how to treat you.
Right. Teach people how to
Absolutely.
treat you based on the way you show up for yourself. I wanted to share this story because I thought it was so funny. Earlier this year, like around Mother's Day, I was in the process of selling my house and putting it on the market, and I had some work that needed to be done because whenever you sell property, you want it to be in the best condition that it can be in to sell it. And so I was taking this business course, a business course, and I had conveyed the information to one of my classmates that I needed a handyman. And he said, "Oh, well, I know somebody that can do that, so let me give your number to him." Make a long story short, the gentleman got my number. He came by. He brought someone because he happened to be in real estate management. And so he worked with several different people. So he brought someone by to look at the jobs that I needed done. And of course, they finished it. So after I moved, fast forward, I moved in May. I sold the house and I moved in May. And I get this text from him, asking me, did I move yet? And, and that he would like to take me out for dinner or breakfast or whatever. And this was like Mother's Day weekend. So I told him that I was busy, but I would go out with him the next weekend. So we went out the next weekend and we had a nice time. And then the following weekend, which was like Memorial Day weekend, he invited me out again. So while we're sitting there at the table, we're eating and having a nice time, he tells me, how nice he thinks I am and that he thinks that I deserve, all this great stuff. And, he invited me out. He asked me if I would go on a trip with him. Of course, I declined because I've only been out with you twice. So I'm not going on a trip with you. You're not taking me somewhere and putting me on my back. No. Okay. Because we know where that's going, right?
Right.
So he says to me, so what are we doing next weekend? So I said, well, I have plans. I'm busy. And it was like he was taken aback by that. And he never called me again. And I never called him again. So my point is this. You have to teach people how to treat you. What made him think, or why would he think that it was okay to take me out to dinner twice or have 2 meals with me and then think that he could take me somewhere for a weekend?
Right. Wow.
And then the next thing is, right. And then the next thing is that he never called again. And I never called him again. What was the point in me pursuing that? So you have to teach people how to treat you and you have to show up for yourself. Now, had I not shown up in a way that, that I cared about myself, that I respected myself, he would have taken advantage of that and taken liberties with that. And at the end of the day, you really don't have anyone else to hold accountable for the way you're being treated but you.
Yeah, I love that. I love that because at the end of the day, you always have to take ownership and responsibility for yourself and for your own life. And if you feel like you are being taken advantage of, if you feel like your relationships are not working in your favor, then you only need to do one thing, and that's look in the mirror. So I want to come to Lachelle, and we're kind of having some struggles with the audio, but I want to see if we can get Lachelle in here to talk with us a little bit about, this whole thing about knowing what you want beyond the bedroom in your life, in your experiences, whether that's your business or other relationships.
Yeah, so as I'm listening to everybody share kind of their own experiences, a couple of things come to mind for me. So the first, I think, is just around identity and really not knowing who you are. So when I talk about my friendships, for example, and how long it took me to get clear about what it is that I wanted, right? A lot of that has to do with just not having a strong identity. And I think that the more, I'm going to call it dysfunction, for lack of a better word, that you come up in, the more of an identity crisis that you have. So for me, both of my parents are addicts. I also have my own sexual trauma history. So when you start adding all of these types of dysfunctions, and it doesn't even have to be that severe. So that happened to be my story. But for those people who grew up in 2-parent homes, but there wasn't great communication, or you didn't see love, or there's a whole spectrum of dysfunction, right? And I think that when you don't know who you are and you don't have a strong identity as you grow up, then it takes you longer to figure out what it is that you want. And then it takes you even longer to figure out what you're going to accept and not accept. So when I think about my friendships that I have now, it's like I love them, but it took me a long time it really is around acceptance. It's like, I get an idea of what I want along the way, but at some point I become unshakable and unmovable about what I'll accept and what I won't. Right. And the reason why it takes so long is because I had no idea who I was along the way. Right. But now it's like, nope, I want to be a priority. I want the same reciprocal kind of things in return that I give, whether it's encouragement, time, energy, whatever it is, it needs to be reciprocal. And so now I think you eventually get to a place where you can accept what you want, right? Even after you've gotten clear about what it is that you want, you then have to accept you as you are, because the truth is I'm crazy, right? Like that people, like that for me, most of my battle was really around accepting me for me and requiring other people to get with it or get going, right? Because once you accept you, then people show up that also accept you. Now I don't even have issues with people. Yeah, they still think I'm crazy, but they're not going nowhere. I love when that comes to mind for me.
Yeah, no, I love that, because you know what? At some point, you got to be comfortable being you. And I think, I don't know, as I come to you, Roz, on this topic, and then we'll go to Murray. As we go through this process, how much of us not taking the time to figure out what we want, i.e. who we are, is about shame and guilt, or thinking we're gonna not meet others' expectations around that? Because okay, so let's go back to relationships and family, or even the bedroom. If I say what I really want, then people are gonna think I'm being selfish, or I'm not gonna be a good girl, and they're not gonna like me, or all of these things that come to mind. So Roz, what thoughts do you have around that?
Everything you all was saying, I just wrote down the word rejection. I wrote down the word rejection. Our experience, our identity, a lot of that comes sometimes out of, rejection. Our experiences come out of rejection. Our experiences come out of things that happen. Lachelle brought up unshakable, unmovable. I am priority. My big thing was, if I'm not doing this right, will I be rejected? Will I not be loved? Will I lose this friendship? Will I lose this boyfriend? Will I lose this friend? I was worried about all of that, not only from the bedroom, but then up to the boardroom, because like Lachelle said, I didn't know who I was. If I had a good foundation, and not knocking my parents, we talk about this all the time, they could only give me what was given to me. You can't give from an empty cup. You can't give from what you don't know, from what has not been taught to you. So they say experience is the best teacher, but if I had just a little bit of guidance, just a teeny, I had just a teeny little bit of guidance on my Tarzan and Jane experience, my, time, I would have saved a lot of time. Relationships, I would not have stayed in relationships as long as I had, because I was scared of, what the public would say, what my family would say, what the church would say, what my business would say. But I'm not like that anymore. I'm not like that, because now, as Barnett said, and Lachelle so eloquently said, I have now come into my own identity. I know who I am. I accept who I am. I am authentic. And so when I know who I am, and like Lachelle said, the people who are in my life, they know I'm crazy. I'm just like her. I'm crazy. Period, point blank. And I think that's why I like Lachelle. Lachelle and I do what she period point blank. I'm period point blank. All is well. You know what I'm saying? But iron sharpens iron. Lachelle can come to me and say, hey, you out of order. And you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna listen, because I also know how to be a servant and how to listen and be obedient and lead. I can't lead if I can't serve.
That's right.
So I have to be able, to use that to go from the bedroom to the boardroom. This one lady, I was listening to her on NPR, I don't know what it was, and she said she was having problems from, not making any deals, just having problems in the bedroom. She said, I had sex with my husband and then I got a $20,000 deal. She got home straight first. And then, you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And not necessarily that you had to have a partner in sex, but I'm saying you got to take care of house. You got to take care of self. And then once you get self and that identity, then when you get out of your bed and you go to the boardroom, it shouldn't be a problem.
Yeah.
Could I just piggyback on that, because what you just said right there, Roz, is very important. For those of us who are single, and for those of us who are living the Christian experience, the Christian lifestyle, you don't have a partner, but you do have a partner. You have your Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. And I'm just speaking from a Christian platform. This is not for everybody, but it is for me. My priority in the morning when I get up, or my priority in life, is making sure that this relationship is straight first. Then those relationships, what is it, horizontal and what is it, vertical and horizontal, right? And so it's making sure the going up is what, horizontal, or is that vertical?
Vertical.
Going up is vertical.
Vertical. Yeah.
Vertical. So for me, it's making sure that my vertical relationship is right first, and then all of my horizontal relationships, they fall into place. They fall into place, because as a single woman, as a single woman that's practicing Christianity, that's living Christianity and practicing abstinence until marriage again, then that my first priority is to make sure that inside my spirit is well.
No, that's so important. And Roz is out there. Roz, you got green tea in your cup, ladies. What y'all got in y'all cups? I got coffee,
water,
Starbucks. You got water. You got green tea. What you got, Bernadette?
You know what? I got this mixture of honey and ginger in my cup.
Ooh.
And it is absolutely delicious. I go to this Dominican hair salon when I go and get my hair done, and they sell this they call it a tea, and it's delicious. You don't even need to, you can put it in your tea, like to sweeten your tea, but you don't have to. You can just boil some water, and I'll tell you, it's the best drink. I love it.
Yum. So we'll keep our conversation going. If you're out there watching, number one, don't forget to tell us where you're watching from. Tell us your comments. Share your thoughts. What do you feel about this subject? If you're out there watching, please be watching from the page Coffee with Rhonda. Coffee with Rhonda Facebook page, or coffeewithrhonda.com. That way, as your comments come in, we can make sure to include them in the conversation. Tell us what's in your cup as well. And so, Mireille, I know you have quite a bit to add on this subject, and I just want to throw in there as I toss it over to you that also goes for work, right, Mireille? This also goes for, like, in your relationships at work and with your boss. This does not stop because you go to work and you have someone that you report to. You need to also define and form that relationship at work, because if you don't stand for something, then you'll go for anything. And so when you go to work, your boss needs to know that I don't work 24 hours. I stopped answering my phone at 6 p.m. If it's an urgent emergency, you can pick up the phone and call me. But if you text or email, please don't expect me to respond at 9 p.m. just because you text me or email me. I start back work at 8 a.m. and I will respond accordingly. Ladies, don't be afraid to set and establish those boundaries for yourself. So, Mireille, what are your thoughts on this?
No, I think, it comes down to laying the rules of engagement in every single relationship. Because at the end of the day, if you don't do that, it goes all over the place. And being able to do that, I think it was mentioned before, you have to know yourself, you have to believe in yourself. And one thing as well, you have to forget about your past, because I think we get tied up with our past, the way we've been educated, whatever experience we had, and then we get stuck. And then in my case, for example, I mean, a lot of the things that, even when I started dating my husband, I couldn't actually even go to my dad and tell him, okay, I'm dating this person. I had to make sure the guy is perfect and ready before I could actually have this conversation. And so it's kind of, always putting you back, trying to always please somebody, in that case my dad, and then you continue to have the same behavior in the office.
Right.
Because every time you're like, okay, before I go and talk about a project, or before I go and raise my hand, I need to make sure that it's really perfect. And then I go to my boss and say, okay, can I present about it, or can I now have my a raise or something? And I don't have to do that, and that's the problem that I've been, I've been working on. And with time, I just realized that, I mean, everything doesn't have to be perfect, and I can work with the imperfection and do something great with it. And that's been really the discovery, I would say, the last 10 years for me, personally and professionally, that I really know what I want. I'm going to go for it, get the strategy. Yes, I'm not going to be perfect. Yes, I'm going to fail, but it's not going to stop me. It's not going to, stop me to actually tell people what I want, the way I want to be treated, and where I want to go. So it's been a struggle, but I think now I know where I stand. I know what I want, and I tell people what I want. And I lay those rules of engagement straight away at the beginning, so people know what to expect from them.
I love something that you just said, Marae, and that is that you can work with the imperfection, right? You can work with you don't have to be perfect. And so if you go out there and decide, so it's some of the fear in deciding and stating what we want. And Emerencia is out there, and she said, first of all, hello, Marae, and great topic, ladies, watching from Namibia. Did I say that properly? So
yeah, she's from
much.
Namibia.
Yeah, thank you so much for tuning in. It's some of that about the risk that if I go out there and I say I want X, Y, and Z, and then it doesn't work, or I fail, or this doesn't work out, then people are going to look at me and judge me.
Exactly.
And I definitely think that there's a little bit of that fear of judgment floating under the surface. And I'll just toss that out to anyone that's out there, is some of being able to be clear about what we want due to our fear of judgment.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Even now, there are different things that are going on in my life. My life is transforming and changing, and new things are coming up. And there's this trepidation about just about putting it out there. Primarily, like, how will it impact the relationships that I'm forming, or new relationships that are being formed? How will it impact that? But I have to just go ahead and keep moving forward. I have to show up, and I have to stand up, and I have to own what's happening for me, because it's great, it's good, it's positive. And you know what? If nobody accepts me, I have to accept me. And that's that's bouncing the ball back to something that was said earlier. You have to accept yourself. When you show up for yourself and you begin to accept yourself, other people show up who will love you, embrace you, and accept you.
I love that.
You have to set the tone.
Right.
You have to set the tone. You're the one setting the tone for everybody to treat you the way you want to be treated. Otherwise, I mean, if you don't set any tone, you'll be a bouncing ball going from one side to the other. And at the end of the day, it's not serving you. So it's very important to have this grounding and set the tone and really be firm about it.
No, I agree. And anyone else can add on this before we start to move into our closing round, where I'm going to ask all of you what strategies can women use? Because we always want to leave people with something that they can take away. What can I do about this? It's great for us to recognize it, but we want to be able to help them push past and move past, so that they can create an opportunity to love on themselves and be comfortable in their own skin. So anyone else want to add on this before I move to close?
I do. I was watching a program the other night, and it resonated with me. And it was Dr. Juanita Bynum. I love her. She said something so profound. And it was like the light switch went on in me. She said that, when you come to Jesus Christ, or when you give your life to God, that he renews your spirit. But it's up to you and I to renew our soul. She said that your salvation, your spiritual salvation, God does that for you. But he's given you the task of renewing your soul, where it says, work out your own soul salvation.
Wow.
So while your spirit man is renewed and alive unto God, all that negative thinking, all that stinking thinking, all those, all that stinking thinking, all those preconceived ideas that you had about yourself, all those lies that you've been told about who you are not.
Right.
Because it's not about who you are, it's about who you are not. You're not good enough, you're not pretty enough, you're not smart enough, you're not this enough. All those lies, you have to renew your own mind. It's your responsibility, it's my responsibility to renew my mind to the truth about who I am. So it's each of our responsibilities to renew our own minds about the truth of who we are.
Yep. I love it. I absolutely love it. Lachelle, I know you were going to add too.
Yeah, and it goes kind of what we were talking about, but then also moving into your closing kind of segment here is when I think about part of the challenges that we have as women and how we solve it, I think it has a lot to do with giving ourselves permission, right? That sometimes it's past situations, right? Because I see this a lot with business where people really want to serve a specific group of people, and that group of people can't pay them. Right? Like they have a heart for whatever circumstance that we've been through personally. Now we want to be able to serve that same group of people. But many times, depending on our own circumstances, that group of people doesn't have the capacity to pay us, or they're not even mindful that they have a problem, or they're trying to even change the problem. And so, we have to have this conversation around, well, will you give yourself permission to go after what is really possible for you? Right? Like I think we have to find this balance, at least from a business perspective, of number one, if we're in business, we're solving some kind of problem, and that person has to know they have a problem. Right? Trying to solve a problem for someone who needs convincing is an uphill battle. Right? And I think that sometimes it comes from a place of fear, where we've either had past experiences in business where it's like, well, I can't go after this other thing because the last experience that I had didn't pan out. Right? There's this shame, there's guilt, and sometimes there's just a lack of hope. There's a lack of faith that this other thing can work out. And I think that the thing that we have to get in the habit of doing as women is giving ourselves permission to go after what God really has called us to do. Right? Whatever assignment that he's given us, it will require that we give ourselves permission, which is really going against the grain. Yes, I've made these past mistakes and I'm still going after it. Yes, no one else agrees and no one else understands the direction that I'm going, and I'm still going after it. I think permission is a big piece of what we'll have to do as we make that transition.
I think that's fantastic, because the permission piece of it is huge, right? Giving yourself permission. So, and ladies, there is no, so let me just say this piece. There is no shame in making money from what God has called you here to do, or what you feel your passion or your purpose is. Okay, so let's please all stop. Can we just all say that this is not about charity. You can't eat charity, right? You can't pay the bills, right. You can't pay, and you absolutely deserve to be paid properly for your knowledge and expertise that you bring to the table, whatever that is. So I'll give you a quick example. I was talking with a lady here at the conference, and I just happened, she was just walking by and thought I looked like someone familiar. We struck up this conversation, and she was talking about the fact that she's doing some volunteer work. And she loves serving the Lord, and she loves helping people find scriptures to support where they are in life and all of that. And we said, okay. I said, that's fantastic. And she said, so, that's what I want to do. That's what I'm called for. And I said, and that's super awesome. So how can you get paid for doing that? Right? How can you get paid for doing that? If that is what you want to build a business on, there is a market out there for everything. And as the great Trevor Otts always says, there is more money in what you know than what you do. Okay, there is more money in what you know than what you do. So how can you leverage that? So I'm going to start our closing segment now and just ask all of you, what strategies do you have out there to share for women about, getting clarity, speaking up, deciding what it is you want? Because it's hard to go for something that you don't really know what it is. And a couple of things that I was thinking about on this subject in terms of defining what it is you want is, I think first of all, the self-awareness. And so my platform that I do my coaching, when I work with clients, we use emotional intelligence as a platform. And the very first quadrant of emotional intelligence, and you got to build your foundation before you can then build your house, is self-awareness. Right. And so understanding what it is you want, getting past those barriers, getting rid of self-limiting beliefs, all of that stuff, and dealing with your own level of awareness about what it is you want is number one. And then number two, then you've got to have some discipline about yourself to stay true to that, to stay consistent, to not fall back on the, people aren't going to like me if I do this, so I'm going to go back to this, and stay focused, stay disciplined on if that's what you're called for, if that's what you want, go for it. You see that big, tall, dark glass of man over there, right, that you want to go after, and he's single? Well, go for it. What's the worst that can happen, right? Maybe he's not interested, but you may not know that until you step up to the plate to try to find out. And then the last one, and before I start to go around for the final closing round, is courage. This takes courage, ladies. If we're not saying it is easy, it's gonna require the courage of your conviction to be able to step forward and to stand in your power and to be unapologetic about the fact that you are going after, first of all, you are clear on what you want and you are going after it. So we'll start the final round and you guys can give your strategies and any closing remarks before we get ready to wrap up our show for the day. And Marae, we're going to start with you.
Yeah, so I think what's very important is that we understand that if we don't know what we want in life, everything will appear either as an obstacle or burden. Right. So we need to choose what we want. And I think one of the strategies that I've been using so far is the one that I call DARE. So it's about deciding really what you want, and which comes from knowing yourself and really stating that you want to reach this level or you want to reach this goal. The second step is to take action. So because nothing is going to happen, even if you decide that that's where I want to be, then you need to have a strategy and an action plan for that. And the next step is to always, get the opportunity to extend yourself. So that's your environment, your learning from other people, coaches and mentors to actually, help you to step up. And then you start all over again, you expand, and then you'll start again, the same wheel. So it's very important to be strategic and define clearly where you want to be and take action. So that's really the strategy that I wanted to share here.
I love that. DARE. So ladies, DARE is the strategies. So DARE and then as we think about it, dare, as we said, dare to stand in, dare to step up, dare to go for it, dare to not be denied, dare to be, as Lachelle said earlier, unshakable and unmoving in what you want. So I love that. Thanks so much, Marae. And Lachelle, let's come to you for any final comments.
So when I think about, solving this problem or, no longer being stuck with not being clear, the first thing I think about is just being honest with yourself about what it is that you really want, right? Whether it's relationship or whether it's business, is you being still with you and saying, if it was a perfect world, right? If fear wasn't an issue, if I didn't have all these limiting beliefs, what would I want, right? I think you got to start there and then understand that everything has to line up with that thing. Whether we're talking relationship or whether we're talking business, right? Everything that doesn't line up with that is a have the thing that you put on your list is a distraction. The opportunity that presents itself business wise that doesn't line up with your vision that you just said you wanted is a distraction. I think it starts with being really honest with yourself. And then I think the second step for me is faith. Like you have to have confidence because it's a process. Even if I say I want this man or I want this business or like it is a process for all of us. It will not happen overnight. And you have to have enough fortitude in the process to be patient and actually fight for what it is that you want. So for me, that's a faith thing. I got to have confidence that God really loves me enough to give me the thing and confidence that he is preparing me for the thing. And then the last one is just support. I need to be able to have a friend that I can call and say, fuck this job and these kids and this man. Like, I'm sorry, somebody might be offended by that. But I need to be able to say, I quit. And I quit again. And I quit again. And I need my friend to be able to say, okay, well, we're going to quit for the next 30 minutes. And you're going to get this out. And then we're going to unquit and get ourselves together. Right? It's out, whether it's a friend, whether it's a coach, whatever that look, a husband, whatever that looks like. I need a space, and you need a space to be honest about the process because it's not simple. It's not easy to uphold your boundaries and not settle. Right? It's easier to do the thing that is in front of you and the feel good thing. So for me, it's about getting clear about your vision and being honest with yourself, having faith, and having support.
I love that. You know, I always like to say that to go along with and to tag on to what you're saying, success is not a solo sport, right? Success is not a solo sport. You need a team. You need people you can rely on. You need a network to be able to help support you, even in times like this when you need to have that one-on-one conversation. So thank you so much for that. And we're going to come now to Roz, and we're going to wrap up with Bernadette after Roz.
I've been listening to what everybody said, but I want to go back. Lachelle and everybody's been bringing up great points, but there's one thing that Lachelle said: going against the grain. Yeah. As you come into your identity, you have to realize you can't follow everybody. Everything that everybody else is doing is not for you. If it's not a part of the solution, it's a part of the problem. So, as she says, for me, and this is some of the stuff I had already implemented. Once I found out what my identity was, I knew that I had to be unshakable in my decisions. I had to be unmovable. The priority is me. It's always me first. God and me. Those are, that's the pecking order. And you have to decide what is the pecking order in your life.
Right.
And then out of all of that, you have to be consistent. You have to be consistent in every decision that you make. If it was no before, it's no now. Now, in the process, we make adjustments. Always understand that we look at our strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. But the biggest thing was that when I was listening to her is that going against the grain, we don't follow everybody. We set ourselves apart. And it's the reason why we set ourselves apart is because we can't follow the crowd. I no longer follow the crowd. I lead the crowd.
Love that. Love that.
Good one.
It goes with the quote that I've heard before that I absolutely love. And that is, why are you trying so hard to fit in when you were born to stand out? Right? You were born to stand out. And so let's focus on standing out and our uniqueness and our power. Bernadette?
I love that, Rhonda. That's exactly what I was thinking. Oftentimes, don't dumb down yourself. That's the thing. Don't dumb down who you are. Don't dumb down who you are, because at the end of the day, you may not always receive acceptance. You may not always receive the support. When I accepted the call to preach the gospel, it really threw me, because that was not what I wanted to do. I never envisioned myself as a minister of the gospel. But when I answered the call, I had to learn and become aware that everybody wasn't going to follow me. Everybody wasn't going to embrace me. Everybody's not, but I still have to stand in what I know I'm called and purposed to do. So in closing, I just want to encourage the audience that as you find your purpose and as you build upon your purpose, don't get discouraged and don't get distracted if you don't get the support that you think you're supposed to get from the people, because it's not that you won't get support. Oftentimes we get sidetracked because we feel that the people that are closest to us should be the ones that embrace us and support us, and a lot of times that's not the truth, because everybody that comes with you can't go with you.
Love that. Absolutely love that. Everybody that cannot come with you cannot go with you.
Right.
So,
everybody that comes with you can't go with you.
Everybody that comes with you can't go with you.
Can't go with you. So don't be surprised. Don't be discouraged. Just stand in your purpose. Stand on faith. And know that you will be okay. It's going to be okay.
That's awesome. Awesome. Great conversation, ladies. We want to thank Doc C. Early, who's out there watching. And, as always, our goal every week is to come stimulate your thinking around specific conversations, give you some food for thought, leave you with some ideas and strategies that you can implement in your own life. Listen, we don't have all the answers. We are just a group that loves to be able to contribute to the conversation. So you are the owner, you are the leader. You are the architect of your own life, and it is absolutely up to you to decide which strategy is right for you in your life. I just want to share just a few quick things because first of all, I want to just take a moment, ladies. Can we take a moment to congratulate everyone that watched last week and got us to our first 1,000 view episode?
Woo! Thank you for watching.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you for watching. Your love and your support is so very helpful to us. So we want to thank you for that. We also now have a YouTube page set up where you can view past episodes. And that's if you go to YouTube and type in Coffee with Rhonda, you can see the past episodes there. As we grow, we now have a Facebook group. And as our guests, if they have free gifts or giveaways or things that they want to share with you, then we will be placing those in the Facebook group. So you want to be sure to join the Coffee with Rhonda Facebook group. In fact, our last episode, we have a free resource in there on the art of saying no. And then finally, do you have the right stuff? Are you a coach, author, or thought leader who wants to be a guest on the show? And if so, you can PM any of our co-hosts to get information on how to apply to be a guest on the show. We definitely want you to contribute to the conversation. So I want to thank everyone here. And by the way, ladies, so I have gotten into this thing where I am doing some different fashions. When y'all are on video a lot, right? You got to switch up the fashions. And I'm like, okay, I can't be going in my closet every day because that closet ain't that deep. And so what I started doing is going out and broadening my fashion, right? Because I gotta be cute. I don't know. I'm professional all day, right? I got the suits and all that. This is my opportunity to have fun, let our hair down, and be women thought leaders and that we are. So what we're going to do is, he says, oh, you're so awesome. Thanks so much, Doc. So this little dress is simply adorable. You all can't see the bottom, but it's actually got little slits at the bottom that sort of flare out. And I got it from Rent the Runway. So you can just get your outfits, wear it a few times, send it back, get a next shipment. Runway. Thank you so much. So I'm going to be sharing some of my fashions because a part of this is, listen, lady, you don't got to spend all your money to be cute. Okay, you can be cute on a budget, and we want you contributing your money to other things in your life, like investment and your business and all of these other things. So I just want to wrap up with those comments. You guys are awesome. My co-hosts, you guys are amazing. Thank you so much each and every week, as always. Lachelle, thank you so much for joining the conversation.
Thank you, Michelle.
Thank you. Great conversation. Thank you.
You're very welcome. And everyone out there, stay tuned. If you don't watch it, don't forget, share, comment, like, to continue sharing that love. So we look forward to seeing you next week on another episode of Coffee with Rhonda. Same time, same station, 11 a.m. Eastern and 10 a.m. Central. Until next time, continue taking the small steps and the big steps to live your most amazing life. Bye, everybody.
Bye. Take care.